Okay, here we go again. It's going to be part 3 for high noon musings, and I'm doing this just offhand. That's all I can do. I can't even prepare for this very well. Things are changing so fast. So much information is coming in. I like BP Earthwatch. He's the one that pointed out these passages in the book of Malachi. And I also like Suspicious Observer. I love the sound of the guy's voice. His videos are short, not so sweet. They're kind of disturbing. You'll see that he really does know what's going around in our solar system. I used to watch Magnetic Reversal News and their sister channel, but I put a comment up once and I was told that I was fake news. I was an eyewitness. I had been over to the site that they were going through, and they were claiming that it was a fraud. And I think that, well, it's been defaced, but I think it's real. The Cathalon stone, just outside of Albuquerque, about 25 miles to the west, southwest, and it's not a very well preserved. It's not preserved at all. It is coming apart. Okay, I mean, I can understand things have been written on it. It's been defaced. It's not protected. It's never been protected. It hasn't even been stabilized, and we're going to lose it pretty soon. However, I believe that stone was basically a declaration of the law of the land to anyone coming up from the south. There's also a similar stone on the northern borders that basically declares, it's a boundary stone. It declares what the laws are. I think it's good to tell people coming through, this is our law. You know, we catch you breaking the law, we're going to be requiring you to abide by it. So the book of Malachi, according to BP Earthwatch, he wanted to make a big point of this. And this is interesting. Malachi chapter 4, verse 2. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness. Now, it's really easy. You know, I read these things kind of loosely. I'm not trying to be open-minded because I know that some changes have occurred in translations, and I also realize a lot of changes occurred in terms of context and the perspective from which we can understand these things. Well, it's the word son, S-U-N, here, and it's capitalized son. Son of righteousness. Interesting. You know, to this point, I actually have been exposed to the ideas that the sun is kind of an evil thing, and when it gets upset and irritated, then it throws down lightning bolts, swords of lightning, barak, if you will, against those who hate me, according to Yahweh. So this is the Son of Righteousness. And the fellow at BP Earthwatch, he is a believer. And I think he gets it right. I think he got this one right. Basically, the people that are running the planet today are trying to bring about the curses in the Bible, if you will. You know, sword, famine, pestilence. And they're busy doing that to us right now. And the guy at BP Earthwatch says, got news for you. You know, he says God, I say Yahweh. Yahweh is in control. And he's got something planned that's going to neutralize those bad guys, bad girls. And that is the sun. The sun is going to take a shot at the earth. But it's actually going to be a blessing. Righteousness. Arise with healing in his wings. Wings. When those doggone sunspots and solar flares blow up, they look like wings. There's a big one that's off at a 90-degree angle. So it's headed out away from the earth. So we're safe from that one, but it's big. If it was coming this way, that might be it. It would take out the grid, and it would neutralize everything these bad guys have got planned. All of their rat escapes would be impacted by it. But it says basically that the day comes that shall burn as an oven. So everything's going to be hot in the atmosphere. We're going to find out. It ain't going to be global warming. It's going to be the sun doing its thing. That also alludes to when an angel drops something called, looks like a millstone, or in other versions, an angel drops what looks like a burning mountain into the ocean. in which case the earth would heat up everywhere, all around, pretty much instantly around the planet. You would know within hours about that report, about that impact, because you'd feel like you were in an oven. That's according to one of Pastor Wiki's boys. I like the fellow's analysis, but I don't like his method. He intimidates his brothers and sisters because he loves us so much that he's going to make sure that we kowtow to him. Let him rule over us. Nah, man, I ain't too happy with that. I'm sad because as a result of his attitude and the way he treats me and the rest of his brothers and sisters there, I don't want anything to do with him. I mean, I don't want to be around somebody that wants to intimidate me and jerk me around. It took me a long time to put my finger on what was going on, and I felt very weird that this was going on, and I didn't catch it earlier, but I got it, and I understand it. So what I want you to understand is that the sun kicks out, and this electrical stuff, everything else is destroyed, and those poor people that go into their tunnels underground are stuck there. And it says that you shall tread down the wicked. So that means we're going to be able to get this show going and get it over with and be done with those devils once and for all. And they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet. Well, ashes refers to a fire, if you will, a holocaust. Okay? And you shall do this, is Yahweh of hosts. You can also take a look at the book of Obadiah. You'll see things that refer to this idea of a fire, ashes, a holocaust. Okay. And remember the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded to him in Horeb for all Israel. It's kind of strange about Mount Horeb and Mount Sinai. I don't know if it's the same mountain, but they might have been mountains with this. They might have been, one might have been the foothill for the other mountain, or there might have been two mountains that were joined with foothills so that they might be regarded as sometimes the same mountain. That's what I think happens with Mount Sinai and Mount Hermon. I think Mount Hermon is north of Mount Sinai. And we know where Mount Sinai is, folks, and it says so in the Bible. It's in the Arabia. It only mentions it one time in the New Testament. Yeah, in the New Testament of all things. Wouldn't you think it would be in the Old Testament since that story occurred there? No. They saved that for the New Testament. And we know that Mount Hermon is to the north. They share the same foothills. I don't know what the distance is, 5 miles, 12 miles, but it's pretty much immediately north. And in case you're wondering, there's a couple from Mississippi who went there twice. They went back to see it and video it, and they had to violate the signs that say do not enter. The whole thing is chained off. The Edomites down there, yeah, those are Edomites. They say they say to the rest of the world they're Muslims, but they're actually of Jewish descent, and they're actually from the line of Esau, the Edomites. So they've got that chained off because they don't want us to discover this place in the desert, this mountain, because it would reinforce our faith, and they don't want us to believe. They just don't want us to believe. It's interesting in that. It's interesting. He's going to be sending Elijah, the prophet, before the coming and the great and dreadful day of Yahweh. Well, I do think that we're going to be seeing some pretty big prophet, somebody coming in the spirit of Elijah. Elijah himself, maybe, just maybe. Very interesting at the beginning of this book. I'm not going to comment on too much of it, except that we see that there's refinement of the people, just like there's a refining of silver and a refining of gold. So there is that testing, that furnace, that pressure cooker, if you will. And we have right here one of the day of his coming. Now, I think there are several days of the Lord. I don't think they're all the same day. Could be that they are. They could manifest in a way that they all happen in the same day, but we'll talk about some rock and roll. That would be something. But I really want to point out Yahweh says, "Yet I loved Jacob and I hated Esau." And then he brought up here, he mentioned Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Well, mountains generally refers to governments, authorities. Whereas Edom said, now Edom is another name for Esau. Edom means red. Esau sold his inheritance for a bowl of red porridge. That's important to know, so that you know that Esau is Edom and the Edomites. And it says here that the Edom will return and build the desolate places. Desolate places, to me, if I was looking for something to occur, I think that they might rebuild. They might rebuild Jericho, for instance. They might rebuild Babylon. That's another one that they could rebuild. Anyway, there's a lot to this chapter. It's kind of short. I suggest you read it, pull for it what you want. It's really good stuff, and this is the first time I've read through it. I guess the one thing I can tell you is that there's a woman who, I guess her moment of the happiest moments of her life was when she was in a play called The Wizard of Oz. And she was trying to educate me, and she really had something to offer, and she sent me a really bizarre, garish video and animation. And it was so deep I couldn't get it all. So she basically explained to me what is happening. And I'm going to share that with you now because I think it has some merit to it. And feel free to comment down below. Of course, this will be up for a while. You can comment whenever. So I look forward to those comments. Basically, what she told me is that we are going through a period in which the gamma radiation would come into the earth, and those of us who survive, who make it to the end for the prize, would be changed. That we would be brought up in character, brought up in strength, and all of that. So basically, she's saying perhaps we'll become a new species, if you will, that we will actually evolve and become much more powerful, much more strong. Maybe, now this is what she said, but this is what I say to that, maybe we will actually live longer like we did in the past. Maybe the canopy around the earth, the ice dome, which has been hypothesized to have happened, maybe that will be reformed. Maybe we'll have a thicker, more dense atmosphere with a higher oxygen content. Cancers associated with low oxygen. Those flying reptiles that existed a long time ago, those big dinosaurs, they could only survive in a much more dense and better oxygenated atmosphere than what we have today. So maybe we will have a return to the Garden of Eden. And according to Pastor Dan Gaiman, he tells me that in the end, in the book of Revelations, the prophet says, "And I saw the earth, and the seas had disappeared." Something to that effect. Don't quote me on that because I haven't read it lately, and I can't tell you exactly what it is, so don't go around saying I'm making stuff up here. But he said the seas would disappear. If the seas disappeared, then that probably would be the water that would help reestablish that dome that filters out, gamma radiation and other radiations that cause us to age. It might establish the firmament above, which we read about in Genesis. Might be one of those firmaments. Don't know, just guessing. But the main thing is that the land would be exposed, and there'd be more room for everyone. And there's already plenty of room for everyone. We've got some jackasses managing the plantation at this point. The evil ones are ruling the roost, and we need to get that away from them. I think that's what we're going to see. That's what I hope we see. What can I tell you? She said that we're going to be evolving with superpowers. Okay, I guess that's how speciation occurs, because whenever I look at the, what's that called? The precessional, with all E's, precessional calendar, which an older brother of mine tells me the one we have isn't accurate. It's not accurate at all. We look at those lines, the time zones, if you will, the time frames, and we have times in which there's extinctions and speciation. Now, it's easy to understand extinction. Things get destroyed, things die, things get killed, things pass away, they go extinct. But speciation is something I don't understand. And so perhaps this woman has actually got the insight. I've lost touch with her. I don't hear from her much anymore. I went to New Hampshire last summer and I was hoping to meet her, but it didn't happen. Anyhow, I don't have permission to say her name. She's a private individual, so I'm not going to be telling you who she is. But I'm hoping to get to meet her, and maybe she'll be able to actually educate me properly about this in person. Because you know me, folks, I'm a retard. You know, I'm a slow learner. It's just the way it is. I'm not that bright. I'm a little bit bright, but not that bright. I've hung out with the bright ones, and they were just too weird for me. They couldn't relate to the average person at all. Pretty snotty, actually. So this is what I want you to do, is I want you to read the book of Malachi, whatever Bible you got handy. You don't have a Bible, go get this one. Proper name version of the King James Bible. Published in 2015 in modern English. It is excellent. It's a little awkward if you're used to the King James. I think they do well side by side. I've asked the publisher, suggested the publisher, he publish a parallel translation with a decent version of the King James version, side by side with the proper name version. I think the proper name version needs to take its rightful place on equal footing with previous versions of the Bible, if not supersede it. That's all I got for you folks. Keep your powder dry.